Welcome to the Today Show. I'm Raj. We are very lucky to have Jeannette Walls here with us today. Jeannette, it's so nice to meet you. How are you?
Hi, Raj. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm doing well on this lovely afternoon. What about you?
I'm fine, thank you. Are you up to answering questions about your life and writing?
Yeah, sure.
What was your childhood like? Can you tell us about your parents?
My childhood was very exciting, but also tough. We were always on the run, moving place to place, which I loved. My parents were not the typical parents in many ways. My dad was a gambling, alcoholic father who had a mix of paternal love and bumbling despair. My dad was a brilliant man and an incredible writer. He might have not always had the money, but he always tried to give us what we needed. My mother, Rosemary Walls, was an artist. She had a special tenderness about her and had occasional humor. My mom would never tell my dad to stop drinking, and she never faced her fears. At times, it felt like the children were the parents because we were trying to help my mom come over her emotional breakdowns or stop my dad from drinking.
That's very sad. Can you tell me more about your childhood?
I didn't have most of the resources other kids had. I moved a lot. I lived in rattle trap cars, small apartments, and cabins. My family didn't have food most of the time for long periods of time. Also, my dad promised me we would have a glass castle, and that played a symbol of hope in my life, but the glass castle never came, but better days came. Next thing, funny story. I made my own braces with the metal wire, which made my teeth sore for days.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. How was your financial situation as a child?
My financial situation varied throughout my childhood. When my dad had a job, he would bring in money depending on the job. He spent a lot of money on alcohol. At times, my mother had a job as a teacher, but she had an inability to hold jobs. My mother had land inherited from her family in Texas, and she would receive a check for the land each month, which kept us satisfied for a little bit.
Really, that sounds like such a struggle. Did you have any siblings?
Yes, I had one older sister, one younger sister, and one younger brother. My older sister, Lori, played a big role model for me. And my younger brother, Brian, were very close. We would do everything together. And my younger sister, Maureen, she was a sweet little girl who I loved to death.
Wow, that's amazing. Where did you live throughout your life?
As I said, I was always on the move. I was born on April 21st in 1960 in Phoenix, Arizona. We moved to Welch, West Virginia, with my sisters, my mom, and my dad, and I wouldn't be where I am without my siblings. I love them so much. We lived with my grandparents, but after many terrible incidents, we decided to get our own place. I had a great time in Welch. When I was in Welch, that's where my writing career started. I wrote for the high school newspaper called the Maroon Wave.
That's great to know that you started loving writing at such a young age. What happened in your teenage years?
Oh, wow, great question. I ran away to New York because I really just wanted to get away from all the struggles I was having with my family and start a new life. I got a job at a burger joint, and that's where I first worked. I shared an apartment with my sister. It wasn't nice, but it was cheap, which was affordable for us. And my brother joined us a year later and lived with us. When I was in high school, I got an internship at a local paper in Brooklyn. They said I could start working when I graduated. I went to college at Bernard College, and I paid the tuition with by working to support myself.
That's an inspiring story. What is your family life like right now?
I married John Taylor, who was a writer. We simply clicked from the beginning. I live in Virginia with John right now.
That's great that you're happy. What were the reasons for your writing?
My husband played a big role in the reasons for my writing. He encouraged me to tell my story in the glass castle. I wouldn't tell him the story at first because I didn't want him to judge me. But then, of course, he's my husband. I have to tell him the story. His first reaction was, "That would make a great book." Then he called my agent and told her the whole story.
You've got a pretty great husband. What's your typical day of writing like?
When I write probably 200 pages in a weekend. I would throw it all away without even reading it. I didn't think it was good enough, you know? And I love to rewrite. I loved it so much. I write fairly fast, but I'm a sloppy writer. I work the whole day, and when I get into the mode, I just write fast and love it.
Seems like you love writing. Can you tell me more about your books?
I love writing. It's my passion. I have written 4 books in my career so far. My books, The Glass Castle and Half-Broke Horses, have gotten out and published in foreign languages. I've written The Glass Castle Half-Broke Horses, The Silver Star, and Dish, how gossip became the news and the news became just another show. The Glass Castle was about my childhood life and experience, and it showed my feelings throughout the text. Half-Broke Horses was about like grandma's whole life, basically. And then The Silver Star was about a girl and her sister who try to face the world after her mom abandoned her. And then lastly, Dish was my explanation of gossip.
Thank you for your time here. It was very interesting to hear about you. Thanks for joining us today. It was an honor to have you here.
It was a pleasure being here. Thank you.